Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Tapping into the Energy of Life. And our inspiring conversation today is about one of those words, and it's sorry. Think about that word sorry. How many times we say, I'm sorry for this, I'm sorry for that. I was over at my friend's boat the other day, about a month ago, actually. She's one of my first cruising buddies, and we are soul sisters. So we talk about everything. And, we're preparing dinner. She's cooking dinner, and I brought a salad. And I said, "Oh, I'm really sorry I don't have any tomatoes." And she looks at me and she says, "Why are you sorry about that? Why, why are you sorry about that?" She said, somebody said to me once, you only use the word sorry if you like run over your neighbor's cat. But saying you're sorry for all the little things, is it's not necessary. You only say you're sorry when you've really made a huge mistake that, is detrimental to something, right? So I looked it up about the word sorry, and the statistics are on average, each person says, I'm sorry, 8 to 10 times a day. And that translates to saying I'm sorry about 3,000 times a year. So when I saw that, I thought we need to talk about this word saying I'm sorry all the time. And we're going to kind of explore, where does it come from? And how do we become aware of it? And how do we stop doing it? And saying I'm sorry all the time. And I can relate to this because sometimes we say it because it's you fear conflict with somebody. Like somebody says something to you and you just say, "Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to do this," or something. And you always want to kind of bow down. You don't want to have conflict. Another reason is we have low self-esteem. So that we feel like people are better than we are. So we always have to apologize for not being this or not being that or not doing this or whatever. And sometimes we say it because we're seeking validation and approval. We want to apologize to somebody so they'll make us feel good about, oh, don't worry about it. You're beautiful or whatever, people say, right? Um, I've done a lot of thinking about this, and we have to have self-awareness. And now that we're talking about it, hopefully you'll all think about it as well. The next time you say, I'm sorry, is to be aware that you've said it and think about, well, why did I say that? What was the reasoning behind that? Was it really needed? And most times I don't think it is needed. And then they also talk about, instead of apologizing all the time, thanking people. For example, like you've been invited to a party, somebody wants us to come over to their boat. And this happened to me recently. And they were having other people over. And Thomas and I just didn't feel like going. It had been a couple stressful days, and we were tired. So instead of saying, "Oh, thanks for the invite, I'm really sorry we can't make it," instead say, "Thank you for the invite. It's been a really crazy week, so we're going to have to pass." Then you're not apologizing, you're just being honest, and you can say, "Thank you for understanding." That's always a good one.
Yeah.
Give a reason. Don't say I'm sorry, but give a reason and then say thank you for understanding. So that's a way to avoid apologizing and start thanking people for, understanding. So next time you say you're sorry, and if you're with close friends, and like we do this now with each other, since we've been talking about we were going to do the topic sorry, is we always apologize to each other. And I think it's a female thing too, we always apologize for the least little thing, right? So now we'll say, "Oh, wait, I didn't mean that," and then rephrase it, because we just
Yeah.
have to practice, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, so that's some of the input I have on being sorry and stop saying sorry. And also, we have the video on self-esteem. And I think if we can all raise our self-esteem, we won't need to apologize as much.
So sometimes we don't know what to say. We're in the loss of words in such situations. So we just straight away automatically we just say sorry. There were very valid points what you said. Sometimes, you want to avoid conflict and you're being polite, and then you just say sorry instead of you could just say excuse me. It's like, oh, sorry, no, you can just say excuse me, or use some other words, some other phrases instead of that. So I think the important part is to educate yourself or to learn what else can I say besides uh, just sorry for anything and everything. So for me, I think I'm going to go start looking for other sentences and teach myself what to say, because I've got a very bad habit of saying sorry for everything. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a learning for me. Thank you for
Yeah,
that, Carol.
I think you've got a point there when you said it's a female thing. I don't think it's just female, but I think it in our society is mostly females have been trained. I have been trained at least to please, to take care of emotionally of everyone. And so it's like I'm responsible for the other person's feelings. And that charge, which is actually a complete mad thing, because you cannot change somebody else's feelings, you cannot affect their feelings, they feel as they want to feel. So but we are trained to actually have that responsibility and feel responsible if somebody is not feeling well, or somebody is upset, or somebody is sad or angry. So I think you've got a really amazing point when you said explain your reasons, because it's not personal most of the times. It's not something you do because you want to hurt that person. It's because you have a different point of view, you have a different perspective or another approach or some other idea. So it's sharing your opinion, which is actually, for me, that has two main points, which is the first one is like explaining and validating your perspective. So it's healing and building your self-esteem, and also respecting when somebody else shares their own personal opinion and their own perspective, because if you do yours, then you respect other people's. And then there's the second one that is like really allowing the other person to know you, allowing the other person to know who you are, what you want, what you like. For example, with the tomatoes that you were saying, is like, sorry, we don't have tomatoes. Is maybe you don't like tomatoes. For example, my mom doesn't want to eat tomatoes, so she doesn't have tomatoes ever. And she was like, oh, sorry, I don't have tomatoes. It's like, you don't like them, you don't eat them, I don't live in your house. So it's probably the most normal thing to happen that you don't have them. So it's not like you are not taking care of my emotions, is that you live in your house and you eat what you want to have. I mean, you cannot have tomatoes there just in case, or freeze them, because they, like, vegetables like that is not like the best thing to do. So I think you've got a point there, with our training and our guilt that has been installed in our minds, that we need to take responsibility over other people's feelings, which is not real, it's not true. And that, as we said in the video of self-esteem, is really it has a downside that it's amazing. So for me, the one thing about saying sorry is the guilt and the self um, deprivation of nurturing respect and love that it means when you say it. Because it's not that you
That's
are
so true.
wanting to hurt the other person. You probably not. You don't probably. But the thing is that how are you loving, respecting, recognizing yourself? And when you do that, it builds up a more happy feeling, a sensation of self-fulfillment and respect. So I think one of the things that has helped me change that automatic expression, like saying sorry, was to realize what it meant when I say it. So when you were saying, Palak, learn another way, another expression, another word, and also realize what you're saying when you say that. That you're assuming that your intention was hurtful towards somebody else, that you were harming some other person intentionally, and that your reasons for doing what you were doing were not valid at all.
Mm.
So it's really, really
important to realize what you do when you do it, what you say, what you mean when you say it. So when you say sorry,
Yeah,
you have hurt somebody actually,
Yeah,
and you feel
ideally.
you feel sorry, you feel the pain of hurting somebody, you feel you hurt somebody, and in those cases, probably saying sorry is not enough because you can say sorry, but that doesn't repair the damage. So when you're really sorry about something, you did something that hurt somebody, it's probably more useful to do something about it to repair that instead of just saying sorry. And it's like, oh, sorry. It's like that, if you really did hurt somebody, it's not going to mean anything
Mm.
because the pain is there anyway.
Mm.
So how
mm,
useful is it really?
True.
So,
I really suffer from fear of conflict.
mm,
Of I say I'm sorry all the time to my partner because sometimes we live together 24/7 and it can be challenging at times. And we're going through some challenging times right now. And I constantly say I'm sorry because I don't want to get into conflict and have anything escalate. And I'm not sure how to get away from that. Um, really, but it's something I need to think about and work through, I think.
yeah.
Um,
I think when you have had relationships where you have learned to keep yourself in a low profile because you don't want to hurt, or when you have been in those kind of narcissistic or abusive bonds, you learn not to validate yourself. You learn not to love yourself and to say, well, this is what I think. It's just better to avoid it because whatever you said was not going to be taken into account or respected. So it was worse
that
to
is so
suppress
true.
it. So it's like it doesn't matter what I say, it's going to be a conflict no matter what, because it's not about what I did, but about the other person wanting to feel better, get in another position of power over whatever I do or say. So
Yeah,
having,
you've hit the nail on the head there.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's like I better not say anything because what I say it's not going to bring any kind of different, it's not going to make a difference. So I better just avoid expressing. So building a relationship where your perspective have a space and so that you can really express what you really feel and what you really want in those situations can be hard because you're trained not to. So it's like being patient with yourself and first of all understanding all of these actions and patterns. And I think that's what you're doing here, at least. It's expressing
trying to.
and feeling and giving yourself a space to say what you think and giving it a recognition and saying what I say has a space. So
So
Yeah,
definitely,
that's why and I love when we did self-esteem.
yeah, I was just gonna say that.
And yeah, and that, just that validation of my own self,
Yeah.
validating myself and not needing it to come from somewhere else. I think it's very powerful.
So have you
Go ahead,
tried that
Palak.
situations, sorry, have you tried those situations, Carol, where you've stood up for yourself and you've spoken? I mean, if you look back and you remember, and um, how does that pan out when you stand up for yourself and say, no, but I like this way and I want to do this. Why don't we do this? Rather than being shy. Oh, no, 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 sorry, whatever you want to do, we want to do. It's just one
Yeah,
that I'm
I
thinking
did
of.
it recently, actually.
That
I did it
help. Yeah.
recently. And it was good. It had a positive outcome.
So
Um,
small,
yeah,
small steps probably. Sometimes I guess we make ourselves so invisible that we forget to use or validate ourselves and use that power within. Maybe the way you did, you said recently it worked out for you. Maybe you can take these small, small steps and see that the other person probably will um, validate and I mean, it might just start working in your relationship little by little. I don't know. Like Mark
yeah.
says, we've got to give importance to ourselves.
And
yeah,
it's funny, guys. I remember with the three of us, like I'm the one who does. after we create a video, I'll go through and say, okay, we need to cut this little section, that little section, whatever. And I was always so worried, and still am, that, oh, I don't want, Pollock to feel bad that I think this
Oh
part
yeah,
should
it
be
happens.
cut, or Maria
Same.
should feel bad, or,
Yes.
maybe they think I should be cut at some point and I'm not cutting, so it's like we said, we're always, you don't want to step on anybody's
Yeah. Yeah.
toes, and you
Yeah.
want to be liked, and you want everybody to
Yeah.
live in harmony and
Yeah.
everything. So
Yeah.
that's
It's
why
good
we
to be
were.
aware, but I think when you're working as a team professionally on something, you're just thinking about the quality of the video. You're not thinking about, he, she, me, or something. You're just thinking about, okay, okay, what's right, what's going to be appropriate. So when your focus is there and your goal is there, then these things don't matter.
And
Yeah.
it's usually that's how we started. We usually say sorry for things that were not intentionally done towards something that they were someone. They were not personal things that you were doing. You were not doing that because of a personal need to hurt that person. So it's not personal. Don't take it
Not
personal.
personally,
So
yeah.
if it's not personal, why are you saying sorry instead of saying, well, this is why I did it.
Yeah.
This is the reason. This is what I was trying to achieve.
Yeah.
So if you think otherwise, please tell me so that we know, and that if it's something important for you, I can learn and do it differently. But it's like, why should I say sorry if I have these reasons, this intention, this thing that
Mm,
I wanted? It's
very
like
well.
denying yourself the importance of all that. And it's
True.
not personal. So for example, in this case, it would be absurd if I thought that you had a personal agenda against me wanting to, delete all the things that I said. It's like, no, she said to delete this or to edit this because there's a reason behind it.
And she
And
always explains also.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
might think I don't understand, so I want to know. So it's good to ask
Yeah.
also instead of just
Yeah.
getting angry. So we talked about the aspect of the person that says sorry, who feels that has done something wrong. But we could also talk about the other side of the equation with somebody that might feel hurt when things are not personal. And so it's like a two sides responsibility. So it's always 50-50.
Mm.
Yes, and if you disagree with something, you need to speak up, and we do that.
Yeah,
I
we
you
do.
know I think,
Yes,
like,
we do.
Alak will put something out there and say, "What say you?" I
Yes,
love. Is
that's
that your
it.
expression?
So
What
what's
say
that?
Yeah,
you? You like, she put something out. This is what I
Yeah.
think. What say you?
Yeah.
yeah.
Which is
In
great.
fact,
Yeah.
yeah, in fact, I would like to rephrase what I said. It's not 50-50. It's always 100% my responsibility. The work is what is 50-50 in this case. The final product is like, I've done this, I wanted this, you want this, you like this, and the result is 50-50. But personally, the responsibility about how we act and feel is 100%.
Our
So,
responsibility, yeah. But I really feel
Yeah.
that people like us, Carol, who will say sorry at the drop of a hat, uh, when we learn new phrases which we can replace the old one with, there were some very interesting ones I was reading about online about a lady called Shade Zahrai. I think she's given some very nice videos, I mean, examples. Like she says, when you're late, don't say, oh, sorry, I'm late. You can just straight away say, thank you for waiting, thank you for waiting for me. Or somebody's saying things like, sorry, sorry, I'm always messing up. But instead of that, rephrase it to, I've forgotten what it was. But what I mean to say is every sentence can be changed to thank you for being patient with me and thank you for bearing with
Yeah.
me. Or if somebody's getting emotional, there's one example. She said, if somebody's getting too emotional, say, thank you for bearing with me. I'm really passionate about this topic. So there are a lot of things which was very fascinating for me that, yeah, this is the only way we can reduce apologizing unnecessarily and saying something new. That's something new to learn.
yeah, I was just thinking, or I just thought that that's a very nice approach because it's like focusing on the positive aspect of the situation. which is the love that there is, like the other person is loving you, having patience or waiting or giving or whatever, and recognizing that love that you're receiving instead of apologizing for whatever reason that you feel you're doing something wrong. It's like looking to the bright side or the love that is there, so that when also you acknowledge that, it's like, thank you for bearing with me. You can learn how to bear with yourself and maybe appreciate that more and change the situation in the future. So I think it's a really nice approach.
Well, we hope that you enjoyed our conversation today about sorry, and that you will be more aware, like we have all become, of using that, overusing it, and abusing it, and trying to think of new phrases and ways to say what you want to say, but not by saying I'm sorry. And I loved what you said at the end, Maria, about when you thank someone for their patience or for their understanding, you're showing them love and appreciating their love for you. So I think that's a great turnaround on that. So we'd love to hear from you if you have some suggestions or ideas or whatever comments you want to make. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Okay. And if you've liked our video today, do like, share, and subscribe.